What is up, everybody? Welcome to the KSL. Tasteless and Artosis are back to bring you some Broodor action. It is going to be a busy few weeks, Artosis. Codes is going to be restarting, of course, continuing on here in KSL. Thank you for our subs for covering for us. Rapid and No Regret, they did a great job, but Tastosis is back.
That's right, and happy to be so. Going to be a great season, no doubt. We have a lot of fantastic players, some older players coming back as well, and some new talent. So this KSL looking to be very, very good so far. Already had a few upsets in this season.
Yeah, it's really cool to be having, with Remastered back out, seeing all the old school legendary players continuing to dominate, but also seeing some new faces, some faces who definitely were present, who were there back in the day in early Starcraft 1, but certainly not as dominant, and now they're coming here and showing, who's really on top here. In 2019, we've definitely seen, despite how old Starcraft 1 is, huge shifts in the meta, huge changes in the way that people are approaching the matchup, the game, of course, with the new maps added in as well. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of that here as well, because everything is best of fives in the KSL, of course, until the very end where we start hitting best of sevens. But with that best of five format, you really get to see a lot more maps, a lot more different strategies, and it's funny because I both want to say the best player win, but also we've had some upsets. So maybe the best players are changing right now as well.
Yeah, that's what's fun. I know that a lot of times people get excited for their favorite players, whether that be Flash or Jaedong. We've seen a lot of people really cheering Bisawan back when he was able to play in these tournaments before his military service. But yeah, I mean, the times are changing. We are seeing a lot of these new players. I think Protoss has sort of ushered in a new era of not just play styles, but players as well. And coming here in 2019, it's going to be fun to see who actually sticks with some of this more modernized play style. Will this get solved by the other races, and who's going to stay on top?
Yeah, as more guys go to the military, more guys come out of the military, we're getting to this funny place where it doesn't matter when you were a pro gamer. If you've got the skills, you will thusly pay the bills.
Nice. It's funny because early on, I guess not that early on, what was a long time ago in StarCraft 1, let's say about 12 years ago or so, everybody was saying, once you go in the military, there's no way that you could possibly come back and be as strong. But as each year passes here with StarCraft Remastered, we're really going to see if that's really the case, because a lot of these guys have already done their service and come back. Others are still postponing it. But again, StarCraft 1 will probably live on for eternity here in Korea. So it's going to be cool to see as each passing year goes what exactly the landscape of who's on top, what the meta is going to be, who's really dominating. Here's a quick summary of our season here at KSL.
Yep, we have a lot of the round of 16. That's going to be going on until May 17th, and then we jump right into the round of 8. Then the round of 4 and finals is when it switches over to best of 7s. A bunch of money on the line here as well. Here's our map pool. You will notice that it is very close to the ladder map pool. The one map that we don't have is what's it called? Ground Zero. That's been replaced by Eddie. And other than that, everything looking good. Of course, Eddie was one of our maps last season. I actually quite like it. I think it's a very nice map. Yeah, it looks like set 1 map is actually going to be Overwatch, which makes this even more interesting because that's one of the more wild maps that I would expect to get vetoed quite often. But the fact that we get to watch Overwatch in every series is really quite nice.
Also very fun to have Medusa back. This was a map.
I can tell your race as soon as you say that.
This was a map that made for some very, very odd games. And it's cool to see that we're bringing in not just, brand new maps that have really not been tinkered with that much as far as StarCraft history goes, but we've also taken a lot of the classic maps that had big impacts on the way the meta changed, the way we altered our view on how we appreciated each matchup. I really like what we're doing here at KSL, and it's very cool that this is best of 5 now. So we really get to unpack a lot of StarCraft 1 games.
Yeah, it's quite awesome indeed. Here's our map Overwatch. I guess we don't really have time to go over that right now, but anyways, let's take a look at our results. Best actually taking out Queen, aka Zero, which I found to be quite impressive, although it was not really the greatest of games, just a lot of Hydra busts that were held. Then we had Modesty over Sharp in a very tight series. I think that's considered an upset for sure, but Modesty has very strong ZVT, so cool to see him doing well. Then you look at Group B, and if you were to guess the two players that should win there, you'd probably guess Snow and Shine. But Miso, a long-time up-and-coming Zerg, aka Ware, doing a great job there, able to take down Snow, mixing up his play a decent amount. And then Ample over Shine. So Ample, you know, this guy is one of the lower ranked of the top Terrans. I'm talking like maybe he's the 10th best Terran in the world or so, but he's playing very well lately.
If you're coming down to our studio, we have a lot of different events that are going on. If you make a cool sign, it says cheerful, but what we mean when we say that in Korea, a sign, you put some cool artwork, maybe a funny meme or a good joke on there, you can win a headset or a mouse or a keyboard.
It's great stuff. And if you come down in 3 consecutive nights and win all 3 of them, you've almost got yourself a gaming setup.
Damn
all that's
right.
left is the computer.
All you need is the main thing you plug it all into.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go. Do join us here on Twitch. This show is exclusively on Twitch. And let people know, you know, maybe you are an older nerd like Artosis and me, a guy or girl in his 30s, and you've been playing StarCraft 1 most of your life. Maybe you're a younger player who's mostly been following StarCraft 2 but is curious about StarCraft 1, or hell, maybe you're just somebody who doesn't really have that much experience in RTS but knows that StarCraft is the original esport, the game that started it all, and are curious to see what exactly competitive StarCraft looks like. Tell your friends to join us here. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be on every Thursday and every Friday, starting at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So we hope you do join us throughout the weeks to come here at the KSL.
So tonight, we're jumping into Group C, the first couple matches there. Mini versus Action and 4GG against Sulky. These are some really nice matches. Obviously, Sulky, kind of a big favorite in his match. The defending champion of KSL, one of the strongest Zergs in the world for quite some time, especially in this matchup, against 4GG, someone who is very good, was very good, but is he good enough to get it out of a group here? I mean, to be honest, he kind of had an easier bracket to get into here, so that's kind of the match where I'm hoping to be impressed by 4GG. But our other match that's going to be coming up first, Mini versus Action, I think that's the match of the night. Mini, one of the best PvZers we've ever had, and Action, sometimes quietly, sometimes not as quietly, a very strong macro Zerg.
Yeah, we've seen him have some success here in the ASL. The big question is going to be in a best-of-5, how does he fare? Mini does not seem to have a problem at all here at PvZ. He really has a very advanced approach to it. He does the most corner cutting we've ever really seen here in fast expanding Protoss play against Zerg. So we're going to find if that's going to be the case this time around.
당연히 뚫어야 된다고 생각하고 있고 본선에서 보여준 게 없기 때문에 시드만 받고 싶다는 생각을 가지고 있었거든요. 이번 시즌에는 꼭 따야 될 것 같아요. 저그전은 단판은 이제 자신 있는데 다전제는 항상 어렵다는 생각을 가지고 있기 때문에 이제 16강부터 다전제라서 좀 부담이 있는 것 같아요. 그냥 잘하는 선수만 안 만났으면 좋겠어요. 저는 개인적으로 저그전이 다전제를 좀 어렵게 생각하고 있기 때문에 민철이 형이랑 제동이 형, 명훈이 형 만나고 싶지는 않은 것 같아요. 세 선수만 아니면 저그전은 안 진다는 생각을 가지고 있기 때문에 다전제도 무조건 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 제가 뚫으면 제가 우승을 할 수 있을 거라는 생각을 가지고 있기 때문에 이번 KSL 시즌3는 이제 시드를 따고 결승까지 갈 수 있는 모습을 보여드리겠습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 액션 아이디를 쓰고 있는 저그 유저 김성대라고 합니다. 이번 예선하기 전에 자신이 차 있는 상태는 아니었는데 좀 쉽게 올라온 것 같아서 다행이고 올라온 만큼 더 열심히 해서 더 좋은 모습 보여드리겠습니다. 5판 3선 다전제에서 항상 그 지는 버릇을 하다 보니까 판짝이나 이런 게 항상 부족했던 것 같고 편수가 많아지다 보니까 꼭 무언가를 준비해야 된다는 그런 강박관념도 있었고 그러다 보니까 심리전에서 좀 약했는데 그런 것보다는 그냥 기본에 충실하면서 모든 게임을 자신감 있게 임하면 더 좋은 모습 보여드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다. 정윤종 선수가 제일 좀 투수 중에서는 빡세다고 생각해가지고 잘하기도 하는 것 같고요. 나머지는 그냥 거기서 거기인 것 같아가지고 자신 있게 할 수 있을 것 같아요. 그래서 저번 시즌에는 좀 아쉽게 떨어졌는데 이번 시즌에는 좀 더 열심히 하고 있기도 하고 자신도 있는 만큼 더 열심히 하도록 하겠습니다.
Okay, we're going to be going into this match in just a moment here. Taking a closer look at Mini. This is one of the new top tier Protoss is. Really revolutionizing the way that we understand this race to work, particularly in early game PvZ, which is going to make this matchup a lot of, not just a lot of fun, but very educational for us still trying to unpack and learn StarCraft.
Yeah, he did fantastically in ASL this past season, even getting to the finals where he fell to last. His opponent, Action, has been around for a very long time. A very hard-working Zerg player who has really started to show some results here and there. He's had some great matches, made it through some group of deaths here and there, and he's definitely someone who has potential to upset and hit a round of 8 in any tournament.
Yeah, I actually find this match much harder to call than other matches. I feel like I'm supposed to say Mini because he's had a lot of great success lately, but Action is really tough. And Action, I would say, out of all the Zergs, actually not even all the Zergs, out of all the players that we've had, whether it be ASL or KSL, he's probably caused the most upsets.
Yeah. You know, it is pretty wild to see, but in some causes upset after upset, eventually you have to say, these aren't really upsets anymore, right?
That's true.
You can only be the
There's a
legend
point in
killer
time-
for so long before you become the legend.
Right, and then it's, yeah, I mean, when you have this big shift in the way that we really identify you as a player, it's no longer, wow, I can't believe he actually did that, he won that game. Instead it's, well, should we really be that shocked at all? And I think if Action continues to have that kind of performance, to have that kind of success here in 2019, I think we really will have to reevaluate where he's at. We have had players that have come up and dominated over, you know, whether it be 3 to 6 months or even a year, but then fall back off, whether it's StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2. But yeah, Action is looking pretty damn solid against almost, well, actually, frankly, everyone. I mean, when he loses to some players, you know, the games are great, the games are close, or you can see kind of how the loss was navigated to that direction by his opponent. But yeah, I really look forward to this. I think we could have a long PvZ series here, unless there's just a lot of rushes here. And probably one that really helps you kind of identify how this matchup can operate in a very modern setting.
I hope to see that. I think our first game is just about ready, so let's get into it. Mini versus Action.
Okay, so we have Mini over here in the bottom right, and it's going to be Action in the upper left.
Okay. Exciting to see, as we saw in some of those stats coming up. In recent times, Mini is the best PvZ player in the world. He's got way more wins than anyone. He's played way more games. His win percentage is out of control. He's been doing just fantastically in that matchup. Whereas Action hasn't had as great of a competitive record recently in this matchup. But, you know, he's playing the best of the best as well. So, don't want to count him out, that's for sure.
So, PvZ, yeah, much of this matchup is oriented around the Protoss trying to get an expansion up. Now, Zerg has options, assuming that the Protoss expands. And we'll see what type of expand that is, but Zerg can either try to rush or try to pace the Protoss. In some cases, you're trying to absorb some of that rush to hold off everything. This is going to be a gateway on 10, Zealot pressure opening with an expansion behind it. Now, we don't have a shot just yet, build order-wise, as to what the Zerg is going to be doing. But as soon as we do, we're going to see what kind of reactive play this is going to be. Now, Zerg has not confirmed that this is the exact build that's coming, but nowadays you kind of expect this to be one of the two major builds that Protosses use against you.
Yeah.
And actually, I was going to say one other thing, but this is totally throwing me off because he's put a pylon down here. Now, we've seen, it was Mini that did this in ASL as well, right? Or was it another Protoss?
It could have been. He's played so many PvZs in ASL, it's almost hard to remember every single thing he's done. He's done just about everything.
Let's see where the placement is for what's built here with this pylon. Because I believe, yeah, this is the Zealot Forge.
God.
Now, this is an alternative opening. I really thought it was going to be a much more standard opening. This is a very, very cheeky little cheese here where that you can do when they make the hatch the way that they did in this game.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm sorry, when did he throw the pool down, Artosis?
God, he has that map just perfectly.
Yeah,
I didn't catch the exact number, but just the placement of that pylon, that the hatchery didn't see it, and the second scout overlord
look at this.
That's crazy.
Now, this may look a lot like a StarCraft 2 esque rush in some cases, kind of with a weird wedging of this over in the corner. but this is really, really, really intelligent.
Yeah.
It's a super cheesy play, but because it wasn't scouted out perfectly, the Zerg is going to lose that expansion. Now, he didn't lose the hatchery entirely. He canceled it. And he's making another hatchery elsewhere here, excuse me. But already I'm really liking this game here for Mini.
Such an intense punish. It's really, really impressive what we've seen here. He's forcing that cancel. He's going to have a cannon in the natural, which is already very annoying as well, doing a little bit of harassment here. But, I mean, he can keep the pressure on from here as well, let's not forget.
Okay, there are a couple different variants of this type of rush. One is where you can try to control the ramp and actually put a cannon there. It doesn't look like he's actually going to control the ramp at all because that wasn't a completely tight wall in there. But the only thing you want to keep in mind as Protoss is that there's another base out on the map that Zerg's going to be taking. The fact that those bases are disjointed is something you can try to take advantage of. Behind this, Mini wants to expand, and on paper, this should favor the Protoss. Protoss has a lot of leverage in this position. There's just a lot you can do in a moment like this, and I think with this type of opening, he can slow drip Zealots into that natural expansion and try to hit it from there, and it should be pretty effective. Action wants to try to have his Zerglings merge with the rest of the Zerglings that are going to be coming out of that hatchery as soon as it finishes. I'm sorry, where are his other two Zealots, Artosis? Do you see this?
They're sitting near the cannon.
Okay, so he gave up on the ramp then.
I think what he's doing is, like if you have to pressure the other one, you don't want your Zealots to just get surrounded. And so when the Zerglings leave, he can easily just counterattack.
Yeah, this is smart.
It's a really fantastic move here from Mini, showing just how smart he can be in this matchup. But look at this, the two Zealots in there now. It's so tricky. What do you do as action? You try to chase down the Zealots that were hitting your like third base location, which is supposed to be your first expansion now, or do you send more back to kill off these Zealots? Are you ever going to be able to make another drone?
Good interception there on that one Zealot, but we have other Zealots coming over here to try to help out in the fight. And keep in mind that Zerg has not really been making drones this whole time. They've been making Zerglings. Now, Zergling speed finishes, which makes the Zerglings much stronger against these Zealots here. But the fact that this layer, this soon-to-be layer, is already at about halfway health, I'm getting worried, Artosis. I mean, Zerg needs to come in here right away. This hatchery is going to drop 100 HP in seconds every time that this isn't well defended. And even with Link speed, 4 Zealots is quite a bit, especially if the angling is good enough.
Yeah, Action trying desperately right now to glitch the AI here with these drones. And you know what? He loses some drones. He has to make tons of Zealots, or Zerglings, but he at least saves the morphing layer, which is really important. And people might be wondering why you did the layer. It gives a health boost, so it'll kind of heal your hatchery somewhat.
Yeah, also, if you can ever morph that wherever their army is not, it really helps out. So those Zerglings are going to come in there. They will take out the cannon. Now, that was inevitably going to happen. But from here, it's going to be up to the Zerg to try to reclaim control of the map. And that's easier said than done. What's awkward about this for the Zerg is, although the Zerg is going to get his 3 bases up, which he very badly needs, he's kind of disjointed here. Well, actually, he's just very disjointed. He has 1 base at 12 o'clock, 1 base at 10 o'clock, and then 1 base at just a little bit below 9 o'clock. And this is awkward because if Protoss gets some momentum on the ground and has an army, this is 3 different locations you have to defend. Normally, the Zerg have a 3rd base that kind of covers their 2nd as well as their main. And that way you only need sunken colonies and static defense in 1 location. At most early on you want locations with just 2. But this is actually 3. So when Protoss is able to come out, and this is what the cannon rush was ultimately setting up here, was that you can't defend all 3 of these locations easily. Protoss can pick the squishiest spot and go in there and take it out.
Well, it seems like Action is probably going to be going into mutas. He has gotten his 2nd gas pretty quickly here. Of course, his Overlord was in the main base and saw the timing of the Stargate, so maybe he feels like this is a doable situation for him. But I'm worried for him right now, right? Because with how disjointed those bases are, and the fact that Mini is upgrading his Corsair attack, he is making Corsairs, and we see a Citadel, I can't imagine both being able to be aggressive enough to keep the Corsair count down and defending against counterattacks from Zealots.
Yeah, the Corsair is one of the best follow-ups with a little cannon rush like this because you're keeping the Zerg responding to things, and because they're having to respond, they generally can't tech up. Now, He did send the Corsair all the way over there. With a good intercept, I think Action is more than capable of pulling this off. The Scourge can intercept the Corsair. But this is pretty smart here by Mini. He's actually going way out of the way on the bottom of the map.
Did you see that? He has multiple probes trapped in his natural gas. That's some bad building placement right there. Oh my
Whoa.
God. That's crazy. But I don't think that's going to come into play here because I'm really liking the position of Mini at the moment. He's got plenty of cannons. It's going to be impossible almost to snipe these Corsairs with the Scourge. And soon enough, we're going to get legs, and those Zealots are going to be spread all over the place. Oh, nice pickoff right there.
Okay, the Mutas basically can't do any damage. You just make enough cannons, and the way that the opening worked for Protoss, you're not really behind in cannons at this point in time, so nicely done here. God, that is rough, that probe popping out at the bottom right of the gas there. From here, yeah, you want to get those Zealot legs, as Artosis said, and then try to come out on the map with the Corsairs and the Zealots pairing together, and that's when you want to look for an opening. Now, Action's next step is to try to get Lurkers. This was kind of the old response to initially holding off Zealots with legs, and you got to be careful because in some cases Protoss end up with enough Zealots that they just kill your base anyways, even if the Lurker is doing damage. I'm not sure if it's going to be the case this time around because a lot of these Zergs have gotten very crafty with how they set their building placement up. But again, all this game goes back to that cannon forcing the hatchery to cancel. That setup is what's allowing Protoss to have a much, much more convenient game. And you know what? I'm sorry, I stand corrected. It's not Lurkers he's going for. He went for Hydra speed and probably range. So he's going to try to actually bust in and get a kill here before Storm is done. And that actually might cost Mini the game.
Well, you know what? Every Templar snipe is really more important than normal here, just because the gas of Mini is so screwed up. He's only mining with 2 probes. And, like, I see he's finally put a third on. We're going to see if that actually works out. I've seen this happen before. We can talk about it in a minute, though, because there's a Hydra bus coming up right now. The Speedlots come out and start to try to bully back these Hydras a bit.
Oh, my God. There's not enough cannons, and he gets a kill on the Templar right before that Storm could be shot out there. And I actually think this may just cost him the game. I don't see an Overlord that's close enough. Maybe if he could get 1 DT out and kill these Overlords. That's the only thing that you can really hope for now. With 3 Overlords coming up here, Zealots to boot to try to come out here in the front. Did he drive the Corsairs away?
The Corsairs are still killing Overlords, but the amount of damage being dealt right now, this seems like a fool's errand. I mean, there's barely anything left here for Mini.
Yeah, he's going to just try to dive on top of this Overlord. It looks like it's actually not going to be killed off. And that means that that is basically game. Yep, GG. And, you know, that goes to show you how strong the combination of Mutas, sniping, Templars, and then Hydras coming through can really close it out. And look, excellently done there by Action. He took what was a pretty bad situation, invested in one specific attack, and frankly, Mini was not respecting that. He should have had 1 or 2 extra cannons. The moment that you see Hydras with speed, maybe he didn't see Hydras with speed. Maybe he didn't notice that.
Yeah, he had a hard time seeing it because he was defending really heavily against the incoming Mutas, so kind of an interesting play there and a good recovery from Action.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the gas just for a moment. This happens occasionally where you'll place a building poorly near your geyser and it will make probes pop out of a different side where they might get stuck. Like, for instance, if you ever tried as a Terran walling in on Gladiator on 2 of the spots, the wall would cause SCVs to occasionally pop to the other side. So one way to completely fix it, because what happens, right, is that they get displaced if there's an SCV waiting or a probe waiting or a drone waiting to come in. And so, yeah, if you only have 2 on gas, they're never going to pop out. But once you get that third on, occasionally they start popping. And we saw him get multiple probes caught over there to the side. So I think that threw him off a little bit as well. It definitely cut into his gas income.
It certainly did. And the gas is really important. You got to get as much of that mined and then spent immediately. There's no saving because Psystorm's the one thing that allows you, in combination with cannons and Zealots, to actually hold that rush off. So, I got to say, this is not a new thing Protosses are dealing with, but losing that Templar is just too much.
Yeah, you really do need those Psystorms.
He lost 3 Templars?
How many hatches did Action have at that point? He lost 2 at least, but... Well, I think we're going to jump to a commercial break here anyways. All right, we'll be right back with game number 2.
파란색 프로토스죠. 도재욱 선수입니다. 김명훈 선수입니다. 빨간색 저그입니다.
예, 그러다 보니까 일단 초반 신경을 잘 써야 돼요, 이거.
그렇죠. 400원까지 만들겠다. 400원짜리 해처리 짓게 하겠다.
예.
오,
자,
지금,
지금
오,
많이 벌고 있어요.
일단 350원.
오, 많이 벌었어요.
370원.
자,
400원,
400원, 400원.
야, 이거 넥서스처럼 만들겠다.
예.
오,
넥서스 가격으로
오,
만들어버리겠다. 오, 도지욱 선수
오,
살아있는데요.
이거 진짜
야,
짜증나요.
이거 정말 열받죠.
한 번 흔들리기 시작하면 김명훈 선수 피해 크게 입을 수
네, 이거
있거든요.
당하겠는데요.
자, 한 번에 들어갑니다.
아,
도지욱 선수입니다.
큰일 났어요.
자, 발은 늦었어요.
이러고 그냥 빠지기만 해도
자,
완전히
셔틀.
셔틀 올라가요. 셔틀 올라가요.
여기서 그냥 이거 죽더라도
예.
아, 이제 버로우. 예, 버로우 업그레이드. 이거는 본진의 오버로드.
자, 다크 들어갔어요.
자, 그리고 셔틀이 약간 시선을 다른 쪽으로 뭐
네.
여기 왜 있을지 좀 생각을 해야 되고.
반응 빨라요. 자, 반응 빨라요.
이번에는 질럿과 템플러 간의 진영, 유지, 그리고 박자가 중요합니다.
자, 리버가
리버가
있고요.
있고요. 리버가
잡아야죠.
아,
셔틀도
셔틀도.
피해가 막심한데요.
네.
자, 둘 다 피해가 있어요, 지금.
네, 하지만 프로토스가 훨씬 더 자원적으로 병력적으로 이득을 보면서
예.
지금 싸움을 좀 해줬던 거고요.
자, 그럼 리버를 잡아낼 수 있을지 일단 넓게 포진해서 공격을 하고 있습니다.
자,
김명훈.
김명훈 선수 좋아요. 위치는.
자리 좋아요, 자리
위치는
좋아요.
좋은데 오버로드가 지금 한번 막히면서
아,
이게 변수가 될 수 있죠. 자, 확실하게 모여서 이제 한 번만 잘 싸워주면 되는 도적 선수죠.
네.
템플러 왔어요.
같이 왔어요.
스톱 쓰고 아까
자.
만들면 게임 끝날 수 있습니다.
저
네.
리버 체력 얼마 없는 건데.
지금에서 파괴가 됐어요.
네, 이거 결국 갔기 때문에
시즌 1승을 하고 있는 기분 좋은 출발의 도재욱 선수고요. 적입니다. 김명훈 선수 반격이 시작되겠죠.
포지 빠르게 깨면은 공일업이 안 될 것 같거든요.
네. 그래서 그것을 지금 김명훈 선수는 노려줘야 되는 거고요. 패널 위쪽에도 하나 정도 더, 그렇죠. 예, 하나 정도 더 필요한 상황이었습니다.
자, 이제 맞이하고 있는 도재욱 선수입니다.
이게 공일업 포기하기 싫을 거예요.
아,
그래서 프로보드 같이 나와서 김명훈.
자, 김명훈.
자, 뒤에 히라이트
감쌌어요.
정글리 계속 오고 있고요.
예. 자, 프로보 일단 앞으로 많이 나왔습니다.
이래서 2, 3캐논 저거 지어지기 전까지 시간을 좀 벌겠다는 의도가 좀 가분히 좀 보였었죠.
네. 다크템플러가 들어가죠.
또
거든요.
도지욱의 멀티태스킹
와, 엄청난데요.
폭발하고 있습니다.
네.
멀티태스킹
이거.
봐요. 이것도 일부러 맞아주기.
그렇죠.
셀러가 안 맞아.
이건 연기하고
제이멀티.
실제는 여기입니다.
그렇죠.
요게 아니에요. 요거는 미끼예요.
와, 이거 어떡해요.
10K.
러커 드랍을 통해서 좀 이득을 보겠다. 그러니까 이런 생각을 좀 가지고 있는 건데
흔들리고 있는 김명훈
캐논을
선수고요.
미리 지어놨어요.
예.
그래도 같은 곳을 긁어버리면
와.
이러면서 막아야 되거든요. 막아야 돼요.
중요한 건 여기 지키는 거.
그렇죠. 지키면서 피해를 줘야 되는 거고요.
근데 자리를 다 이미 주고 싸워요.
네.
자, 언덕 쪽.
들어가는 위치가 좋습니다. 언덕 위쪽에서.
옵저버는 잡았지만 러커가 별로 없습니다.
네.
네, 그리고 아래 질럿이 너무 많아요.
자, 이거 내줄 것 같은데 여기는요.
안보도 프로브 잡고 경기를 내주는 상황이에요.
예. 자, 재미는 봤지만 본인이 재미없어지는 경기가 나올 수 있습니다.
아니, 도재혁 선수가 1경기에서는 컨트롤 실수가 있었는데 이번 세트는 그냥 잘하는데요.
그렇죠. 너무나 잘해. 찍어 누르는 듯한 포스가 나오고 있고요. 전쟁에서도 치즈. Welcome back to the KSL. We just finished pretty odd game there, I guess you could call it, with Minnie in action. I think Minnie had everything set up right. Action, looking at his situation and saying, okay, there's probably no way I'm going to be able to deliver a solid late game here. Instead says, I'm going to go for a very specific timing attack. I'm going to try to kill the Templars. If I kill the Templars, then Hydras alone can probably tear down the Zealots and the cannons there. And it worked out. So now we're going to be going into game 2, which will be on the map Fighting Spirit.
Okay, well, Fighting Spirit looks like it has quite a winning record for Zerg in the after 2018 KSL/ASL record. But I think overall it's a pretty decent map for this matchup. You know, the third base, the third gas specifically, is not undoable for Protoss, whereas on some of these maps, it's kind of the thing that they really struggle for. So we could see a bigger macro game coming out of Mini in a map like this.
This is the classic Brood War map, Artosis. I think nowadays, if you want somebody to learn how to play StarCraft 1, this is the map you want to show them.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's got the biggest history of games on it. I'm looking forward to seeing that history move forward here as we go into game number 2. In this case, it's Mini down here in the bottom left and Action in the top left.
Okie dokie. Really like
Okie
that.
dokie indeed, Artosis.
Really like that game that we just had, though, the opening at least from Mini. Very fun, very exciting. 2-player maps, really open quite differently than 4-player maps, though. So don't expect anything like what we just saw.
Yeah, that's...
Don't get your hopes up there, Taste. That's not happening again.
No, I can pray and dream, but no, it's not feasible on any of these 4-player maps. We will, however, see a fast expand again here. The question is, what type of expand is it going to be? Is it going to be the Gateway first? Will it be Forge first? That build, though, in the last game, a lot of that came down to the... a lot of that build came down to the fact that Mini knew exactly where the Overlord's going to scout, and there's a blind spot in the scouting pattern where it will not see a pylon.
Really got to do your homework for something like that.
This is actually not going to be a fast expand. I'm sorry, everybody. I saw the probe moving out. I wasn't looking at the supplies. This is going to be gate on 9 and either gate on 10 or gate on 9 again. But action is going for pool on 9.
Well, it's an overpool.
I'm sorry, overpool. Thank you.
But the double gate in the center is actually a build Mini busts out a lot, and it's not always an all-in from him. He can actually get into a macro game from here. We've seen it from time to time. I think he's probably the best 2-gater that we really have. The thing is, I feel like he's the best in many things that we have, especially some of these off-brand builds, because he plays against Zerg so often.
Yeah, he's very, very good against this. So ideally, you can try to snowball the game and get the kill here, but Artosis is correct in that if this doesn't just, if you don't get a bunch of good Zealot connections in there, you just tear down the Lings right away, you can generally cripple the Zerg early on and then try to move into a healthier mid-game and late game as you try to get an expansion up. Now, there's obvious disadvantages on both sides. I think the advantages for the Protoss are clear here in that you have Zealots streamlining into their base right away. But the disadvantage is that, A, Protoss doesn't have a lot of probes right away. B, there's one pylon generally. You normally don't make more pylons in the middle of the map, but we can almost expect anything sometimes in a game if it gets weird enough. There's one pylon powering the double gateways. And so what you want to do, if you're Zerg, is either try to go and kill the probes because they don't have a lot of probes, as I said earlier, or you want to try to go in there and kill the pylon on powering the gates and then try to do a positional punish here.
Ooh,
wow.
Might get a surround here and a kill in this initial Zol. Actually, a miss scout there by Mini. His probe was a little bit early, checking for the Overlord at the top right at the natural, which is a common trick to see, but he actually sent his probe to the wrong main next. So the Zealot was the first scout that saw that Zerg was there, and this Zealot, like, getting that low on health already, it's a bit painful for sure.
Yeah, this is already hugely problematic. If he can try to get the Zealot back in with the fight, there it is. Now, obviously, it's very low on HP, but if you can control that perfectly, easier said than done, but sometimes you might still get a good pairing here. Oh, my God. Really great block here. Looks like he's going to get one drone, but I think overall this is actually over.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Now, the problem is that first Zealot that came out, it's so important that does damage that when it doesn't do damage, or let me just put it like this, it actually takes a lot of damage, it's almost impossible for the Protoss to try to engineer an advantage from this. I don't want to say a win because I don't think we're anywhere close to Protoss having a win. But to try to get an edge in this moment, now you have a displaced production facility, 2 gates in the main. Zerg seems like they're going to be okay, albeit they're low on drones. They have the second hatchery up, and now there's 2 Lings coming here into the main and nothing to protect it.
Things are getting worse, and with that sunken up, it's really hard for Mini to get that damage done. Now, these Lings going down to the center of the map, are they just going to target the pylon? It seems like that's the plan at the moment.
I believe, is Ling speed being upgraded here? I'm a little bit fuzzy on the map.
It should be, I would say, because he has 16 gas, right? So he should have already mined that and gotten it out, but it's possible that he just pulled all his drones off. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I wasn't looking, to be honest, everybody, but he's now keeping a pin there. Oh, this is a funny alternative way to play is you try to get a Forge out, you keep making Zealots and trying to match their Zerglings with your Zealots, and you try to get a cannon here at your expansion and play the game from there. But it looks like good decision-making from Action. That's going to allow him to then come down here and deny this quick expand.
And more Zealots coming back, and it looks like he might want to do a counterattack here, but this is non-stop Zerglings, which seems just right here from Action.
Yeah, this is so hard here. Now, I don't want to say Zerg has this in the bag, but Zerg definitely kind of has the reins here in where this game's going. The Zerglings are always a little bit faster than the Zealots, right? So the Zealots are fundamentally stronger unless they're majorly surrounded and out in the open. So what you do is you try to navigate and steer the Zealots into a position that you want to be by forcing them to defend a location and then punishing a vulnerable area elsewhere on the map. Now, because he's kept all the Zealots off his back, the Zerg has been able to drone up. Now, Protoss behind this, by the way, is making probes of his own. So we're getting into kind of an incredibly slow, drawn-out growth rate here, right? They're both in a melee unit's arms race.
Yeah, look at this. Great surround right there. Oh my god, these Zealots. If he can kill these off and then get rid of that pylon, the production of Mini is just about gone. Look at this. Sending some probes and Zealots up as well.
Oh, this is actually a great save here for Mini. I'm actually liking this game a lot more now that Mini's managed to do that. But, of course, there's no cannon over here. The Lings, by the way, he never got Ling speed.
Yes, that's very
as
true.
we could see here. Now, had this been a game with Ling speed, I think Protoss might have already been way in way more trouble. But because it's a bunch of slow Lings, you can see the Zealots are at least almost able to keep pace here. Great wall, great block there at the ramp, denying these Lings from getting up. I don't think any of them are actually going to be able to make it up here in a beautiful play. If I am Mini, I want to send those Zealots immediately across the map and try to run the Zerg over.
Well, you're just making them make nothing but Zerglings. There's just nothing else that they can do at this point. Action has lost so many Zerglings trying to be aggressive, trying to battle the Zealots and reduce their numbers. But really what he's done is reduced his own numbers here. He's got almost no drones still. The natural is up for Mini. Mini's even got cannons. He can throw these Zealots right in and take a fight.
I want to harken back to what you were saying earlier, Tosis, because you really nailed it on the head. Mini is so good with this build at just getting it in the late game, even if it doesn't work. He's so smart. He's so strong at this.
Why don't you write him a love letter, Tasteless?
Oh, man, I'm ready to. I mean, I love seeing play like this because when I finally have my hands recover and I can play again and I don't want to actually play for real, but kind of like maybe beat somebody better than me, you know, maybe tell my friends that I won, and I'm going to do a build exactly like this. Artosis.
Yes.
There'll be no honor in my play whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now,
and don't worry, this works against all the races.
So now Ling Speed's done. I wonder if this game would have looked different, by the way, had he actually managed just a little bit to get Ling Speed up, maybe have one drone in the gas or something when this was going on and just try to eke that out.
Yeah, well, he was so low on economy overall, right?
It was like 7 drones
very
total.
Tough. Yeah, he was on 7 or 8 drones for a very, very, very long time. You have to buy so many Lings and a Sunken and sometimes fight with your drones. It's a lot to ask for these little things.
So keep in mind that there's no scouting that Mini's been able to do to figure out what's going on, and this is so smart. So for one, the pylon's going to go down. He probably can't save that. But behind this, it's going to be 2 Hatch Muta. Now, remember that there's a balancing act on both sides here.
On both sides, you said.
The Zerg is trying to get enough to have that pressure on to keep Protoss off of his back and drone up. But the Protoss is saying, okay, I've got a base up. I just don't know what he's doing. I can either try to tech up quickly or I can go cannons to try to balance the 2 out. Now, of course, there's no wall in here. You might be afraid of Hydras, but if the Mutas can get there and there's not enough cannons to defend the main, taking the main out is actually in some ways more valuable than taking the natural out.
Oh, yeah.
The main has actually more minerals at it. It's got all the tech that you want to get rid of. And the natural, even if you're able to take out the main, and it would be still a 2 base versus a 1 base, the natural is clogged up. There's not a lot of room to make buildings there. And this could be the neck-breaking move here from Action to actually win game number 2, where once again, Mini opened up with aggression. He opened up trying to seize control of this game, and Action seized that control back. This is going to be a brilliant play if Action can pull this off. And I think, honestly, Artosis, he probably can.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get him. Hopefully 2 Scourge are on the way right now. It's really hard for Mini to know the exact timing of these mutas. The game has been so off-kilter.
Yeah.
When these mutas fly in, I wish I could just see Mini's face.
Yeah, GG. We're going to see it pretty quick.
I think we can guess what his face looked like from that.
Wow, Action. Let me tell you one thing the Zergs watching this are feeling is that justice has been served to this Protoss scum.
Well,
two cheeky builds in a row.
Yeah.
And no matter what Mini tries, if he doesn't pull it off in game 3, he's out.
I tell you, Mini just had the season of his life in ASL. Beat many of the world's top Zergs to get to the finals, put up a good fight against the second best Terran on Earth. in last, and it seems like now is his time. But down 0-2 against Action right now. What if all Mini's tricks have been discovered and he never wins another game, Tasteless?
What if he tries to hide a pylon and a cannon again, just like he did in game 1, and it really doesn't work this time? Well, then he's out. I thought Mini was going to have more standard openers. I wonder if some of the way that he's approaching this is that he's saying, I can win this entire tournament, and therefore I should keep my standard play disguised and masked for later on. So he had these cheeky Protossy builds coming out here where maybe he can run over the guy early on.
I have a counter thought to that. I think that this is his standard play. Like, I've seen him do that 2-gate into macro play with Nexus so many times now, right?
It's a good build.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
it's
the
like,
fact that he's trying to go for builds that don't have anything ordinary at all are hinged on surprises. I guess a 2-gate's not as surprising, but
well,
you have to open expecting it to be either 1-gate or Forge.
I think if you're just doing like Forge expands or just one gateway pressure expand into, you know, your Corsair and then just like making some gateway units against Psystorm, it's hard to keep a really high win rate in these best of 5 matches that people are really preparing for. And like, I like that he's taking control of every game so far, but Action is bringing these great counters, right? He's nailed him twice now with Muta openings in response to very, very aggressive plays from Mini.
What does he do in game 3? I mean, there's a limit to the number of tricks Protoss can do. I mean, one thing Protoss has, and it's true for other races and other matchups as well, is a degree of randomization. We'll see what he does anyways. After the short break, we'll be right back.
도적 선수 활이 웃고 있겠죠. 2대 0의 도적 선수입니다. 추격의 불을 붙여야 되는 게 바로 이 김명우 선수입니다.
게이트. 이거 말씀해주신 대로 진짜 더 때리려는 거죠?
오, 나와요.
이 저글링 8마리로 싸우면 안 됩니다.
예.
좀
자,
뒤로 빠졌다가 최소 10개 이상.
그렇죠.
최소 10개 이상.
10개는 됐죠.
자, 때리면서 한번
감싸죠.
빼주고 또 추가 질러 기다려줘야 되고요.
네.
그러니까 이게 지금 김명훈 선수 입장에서는 3번째 처리를 바깥에 지었기 때문에 혹시라도 질러서 추가적으로 찍어서 도지혁 선수가 공격적으로 할까봐 저글링을 계속 찍을 수밖에 없어요.
도지혁 선수는 그냥 안 나가고 가만히 캐논이 지어질 때까지 여기서 지키고만 있으면 돼요. 무리할 필요 자체가 없고요.
네.
캐논 하나만 완성이 되면 이것을 막는 것은 어렵지 않습니다.
너무 수월하게 막을 수 있을지 지켜봐야 되고요. 중요한 김명우 선수 어쨌든 지금 화가 났습니다.
자,
좀 뒤로 빠지면서 더 좁은 길. 뒤로 수 있으면
지금 채도 됐어요.
이거 뚫려요.
뚫을 수 있어요.
캐논 지켜야 돼.
지금 완성되면 캐논 저글링이 좋아요. 위치가 좋아요. 싸우는 위치가 좋아요. 자,
김명우! 화나는 김명우의 힘이 조금씩 올라가고 있는데요. 지제! 자, 한시에 위치했습니다. 도제욱이고요. 이제 이 반격의 신호탄을 올리기 시작한 선수는 김명우 선수입니다.
이거 질럿이 들어가는 건 좋은데
네.
살아나오지 못한다면 프로토스 입장에서도
이득을
이게-
봐야 돼요, 그러면.
예, 이게 사실 큰 피해를 주기는 어렵거든요.
근데 들어왔습니다.
근데
도제욱.
여기는 들어왔으면 이제 어차피 좀 답이 없기 때문에 여기서 미네랄 채취하지 못하게 하고 여기 힌드라 다 몰렸을 때 미네랄 멀티 질러치기.
자, 멀티태스킹 싸움 유도하는 거죠.
그쵸.
지금 도지혁 선수.
자, 그럼 여기서 질럿이 한번 흔들고.
오버도 있어요.
올라갔어요.
근데
그나마
병력이 멀어요.
있어서, 예.
근데 병력이 멀어요.
예.
병력이 아주 멉니다.
스관성 다크드랍 들어갔습니다.
이거 통했어. 완전 이득.
두드리면 열리죠.
예, 이거 도망가봤자 무조건 프로토스 이득.
예, 6킬입니다.
네. 한 방에 뮤탈을 할 수도 있지만 이미
와.
준비가 돼요. 마일스톤. 왜냐면 커세어를 본인이 하나 찍고 일부러 안 보여줬어요.
뮤탈이면 이거 김명훈 선수 진짜
금액이
나갈 수 있습니다.
근데 이게
뮤탈도 봤어요?
이거 지금 김명훈 선수가 입은 피해가 어느 정도 누적이 되어 있기 때문에 이거 뮤탈리스크가 아무것도 못하는 것도 큰 피해입니다.
진짜 절대 안 됩니다. 더블 스톰은 안 돼요.
자, 5킬입니다.
다리 붙였어요.
야! 도세요. 들어왔습니다. 아예 위험 요소 없이 들어왔고요. 자,
게다가
뮤탈리스크 확인했어요.
마일스톰 지금 90.
자,
5 남았어요.
4 남았어요.
스톰 너무
김명훈.
아파요.
아프죠. 많이 죽어요.
마일스톰도 왔습니다.
마일스톰.
자, 마일스톰. 자, 이거 진짜 대위기.
되돌았어요. 잘 맞았어요. 또
야,
가요.
이거 도적 설계 뭐예요, 이거?
와!
이건 보면 채팅 나오겠네요.
야, 이거 진짜
이거 그럴 만한 경기입니다.
와, 엄청난데요.
이거
네.
설계 완전 미쳤어요.
누구는 입으로 하지만 누구는 손으로 보시고 도적 선수 말 그대로 실현을 해줬어요. 구현을 했잖아요.
그렇죠. 이게 사실 도지혁 선수의 이미지 자체가 굉장히 힘싸움 잘하고 물량 잘 나오는 그런 선수인데
네.
이렇게 지능적인 플레이로 반짝이 자체에서 김명훈 선수를 압도해냅니다.
압도했어요. 지금 물량으로 찍어 누르고 있고요. 다시 한번 들어갑니다. 18K GG.
Welcome back. Okay, there we are. Welcome back to KSL. We right now have action with a 2-0 lead against Mini. While the strategies Mini has opened with, build order-wise, they're different. Thematically, they're the same. He's trying to get leverage over action early on, put him into a position, put him into a box where strategically and tactically it's a fish in a barrel game. He can get an easy closer, but action is able to wriggle free from that, come back and break Mini's nose 2 times in a row. If Mini screws up one more time, he's lost his series, Artosis.
Yeah, he will be out of here. Map 3 going to be Coliseum. This is a 4-player map, a very, very old map at this point, I would say.
Yes.
And kind of funky. It's got a little row of creep right in front of your natural. This was actually intended for defensive purposes so that you could actually have Sunkens up to help defend against early attacks without having to make a 3rd hatchery. But this can be used offensively as well.
Yes.
And that can make the map a little bit interesting, right? If you're trying to wall right there and the Zerg decides to do some sort of sunken Zergling rush, that can be pretty hard to deal with.
So let's see what Mini wants to do again here. Protoss could absolutely play the most turtley style ever here, but they don't have to, right? Anyways, let's go into game number 3. Let's stop speculating. Let's just find out what they're going to do. Again, this is Mini versus Action. Right now, Action with a 2-0 lead.
So we have Mini in the bottom right, Action in the top right. I'm kind of feeling aggression, man. The more I think about it, right? Something like, for instance, if Mini did the 2-gate on this map, okay? You can't get a Sunken up to help defend. That was part of the reason why it didn't work in the last game. That Sunken was really crucial. The natural defends your ramp to the main. That's a big part of it. Whereas here, trying to make a Sunken out in the front there against that, I don't know, man. Zerg Rush Forever.
Canada,
Love from Canada.
Israel, Germany.
Look at that.
Nice.
There's a robot and an octopus. I love it.
Yeah, this is fun, man. Getting back to cast some Starcraft 1 after a little bit of Artosis. I know you did some of the qualifiers for this.
Yeah, those
As
were
we had to
pretty
split
fun.
up. The band had to break up for a little bit, hold down the fort on both sides.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back casting some Starcraft 1. Now, this is a gate on 10 here from Mini. I don't think it's going to be a second gate.
No.
He keeps doing stuff where it looks like it might be something else, and then it's not. But yeah, he's going to go with a Zealot pressure opening.
Yeah,
And it looks like Action's actually going to go for a hatch on 12, which is a nice change.
Yeah, I like this. I like it from both sides. Like with Mini's opening, you don't really have to worry about some of the early aggression that a Zerg might do to you in a situation like this. Whereas if you tried some sort of Forge-based build, things I think could theoretically go wrong if you wanted to go all in. Whereas Action, just kind of, taking, I guess, a little bit of a risk with that hatchery first, but I don't think it'll cost him, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think it's a calculated risk, and like you were saying, it's not going to cost him much of anything because it's hard to punish a player with a 1-gate Zealot opening here with pressure if the second hatchery is not at a place that's in the rush path.
Yeah.
You're kind of, it's less than ideal. In fact, it's not uncommon to see players open up with a Forge first just because you can get a wall in up, and you kind of try to run into just a long game. You got to watch out for Hydra busts and stuff like that, but you do have a high ground of your own. You can put cannons on.
I love that this drone, look at it, just tempt fate.
You ever see pros do this and just want to say, enough? You don't need to do that. He's actually going to try to body block the Zealot just to buy a little bit of time. Now, Action got about 3 extra drones out with this opening, so the Zealot does have a moment to try to get in here and do damage before the Zerglings can come out, and there's going to be about a 5 maybe 10-second window. I don't know the math. The math is a little bit fuzzy for me on this. When exactly you can get in there and try to do some damage. So you use the drone drill like so. And so far, basically perfect control here from Action.
Superb control.
And this is
art.
This feels pretty bad if you are the Protoss because he didn't kill a single drone, and making them move mine move is not enough. Now he's starting to get some good splitting in here. Can he hit any of the weakened drones here?
Oh, he's gonna get it. Okay, so that's a very strong kill right there. We'll see if he gets any more.
Kills off that one Zealot there. Don't forget that Protoss has to retract back into a cannon at home.
The micro overall here was really fantastic from Action. Very impressed with the drone drilling. Just like beautiful dancing. He was screwing up the Zealot AI as much as you really could have in a situation like that, getting maximum damage, taking minimum damage, losing only one drone while defending the rush. And the drone truly could have been saved, but it wasn't completely perfect, but still great control by Action.
So from here, we go into what basically is an ordinary game. The Forge finishes, a cannon gets up. Protoss has completely got that walled off. There's no way, even for the slimmest Zergling to get through there. Then we're going to see a rush into a Cybernetics core. It's most likely going to be a Stargate, but you know sometimes we see crazy stuff happen here with Protoss. Zerg is also going to tech up, probably go for a layer here. And the game will continue. We'll see which branches they take as the core finishes and the layer finishes and the tech options present themselves.
Very late gas from Action.
Oh, yeah, actually,
Fourth hatch before gas, so he's really playing very stylistically right now.
I did something crazy where I thought the pool was actually the gas, but
okay.
on the mini-map. But yeah, this is a little bit different then, and not quick layer.
Yeah, so it is almost certainly going to be Mass Hydra. I'm kind of excited to see this. And the Overlord's staying around in the main for a very long time. Should be seeing a Stargate come up, which I think makes it even more powerful, right? He's going to be on 4 hatches rather quickly, and you have that bit of high ground over the wall. Seems hard to hold.
Yeah, well, we don't know that it's going to be a rush necessarily, but it can be, you're right. Either way, if you go for 4 hatch, you're not rushing into any tech. You're basically going to have a lot of muscle behind this.
Yeah.
Now, here's a robotics facility that's coming down now. Now
so much.
Yeah, the robotics facility is pretty cool. He's possibly going to go for Corsair Shuttle Reaver, which has its strengths. Of course, you can't really lose the Shuttle or the Reaver early on, or you've punted yourself out of any options in the game.
And I like that he's taking a risk here. He really needs to, and whether he holds or not, it's going to be better than the Corsair would have been because that Hydralisk Den is done. The 4th hatch is going to be finishing up here as well. Putting a little bit of pressure on, trying to feel out what's going on. I don't think he really got that much intel here, but maybe he feels like he can force some units like that.
Yeah, you always want to try to come out with those Zealots if you can. Try to put a little bit of pressure on here. Now, that Robo's going to finish. Now, you don't have to go for the Robo here. Whoa, I didn't see that Stargate until just now. That's pretty big. Now, to be honest, Artosis, I actually don't like this as much for Mini because I feel like that Zerg is already in a good spot to handle this. Corsair, 2 Stargate Corsair into Shuttle Reaver is strongest against the 3 hatch with layer because they're trying to rush into a tech, and while they're teching up, they have to first deal with your Corsairs and then scramble to get an answer to the Shuttle and the Reaver. But if you have Mass Hydras out and your positioning is good, not only do you not do any damage, but the Zerg continues to grow. And a lot of times, if they get enough of the map, there's not much Corsair Reaver can do.
Well, I think in general, it's a good build for the map. But yeah, in this type of situation, with such a quick 4th hatch, now a 5th hatch on the way, Hydras being the unit of choice, the skipping of the Spire altogether, as you know, normally it's 3 hatch Spire to begin. But yeah, I'm loving this right now in favor of our Zerg player. Like, yeah, maybe he can get something done with the initial drop. Like, Action is not completely sure of what this is, but it feels almost gambly a little bit.
Oh, this is for certain gambly. By the way, when the Ling scouted the entrance, the fact that there weren't Zealots clogging the entrance did telegraph what was happening here. Now, he can actually supply block the Zerg, which is pretty handy. Keep in mind, a Reaver is about to come out here. Shuttle speed should finish around when the drop starts here. So, if he can actually get in there and do the right amount of damage, that would be pretty helpful here. Unfortunately, those Zealots that were hidden to try to come out along with this attack didn't really do that much.
The Reaver moving out. Hydras look like they are going to be able to get into position. Not a lot of units for Mini right now. Obviously can't be losing the shuttle and Reaver.
Yeah, I'm getting worried, man. You know, the Reaver's already so low. He could try to come in here and get an Overlord kill. Wow, so close to taking out about 2 more of those Overlords. But honestly, the problem here is that this is just so manageable for the Zerg, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even if he killed off all the Overlords, you have so many minerals as Zerg coming in, you can remake the Overlords. As long as you're not losing drones, you're basically fine.
Everything feels like it's fallen apart a little bit for our Protoss player tonight.
One thing also is that this was Corsair Reaver that did not have a transition into Protoss standard tech, which would be Zealot Legs with Templars later on. This is where you double down on the wonky tech. You're going for like mass shuttles and Reavers and Corsairs. And sometimes you see D-Web with this. I don't know if you can do that with 2 base, but I guess you kind of can. Maybe we'll see that. I don't know. He's getting his another gateway now, so maybe he just goes into Dragoons here and tries to supplement this. But
possibly.
I don't like this for Protoss personally. I feel like this is really, really difficult as far as getting away with something like this goes.
Well, I appreciate that he's staying on point with the strategy, because I think switching at this point is maybe the only thing that would be worse. You know, if you're like, all right, my Reaver didn't do much, and then you start to try to get in Templar tech, I know how that game's going to end. Let's see if he can maybe get some really good drops. Like, he did an okay one there for a moment. These Corsairs still roaming around, doing a decent job, harassing a bit.
So, what do you want to do here? He's getting gateways. Do we have a Citadel? I don't see one, right? There's no Citadel that's been made.
I haven't seen a Cit yet.
Yeah, I personally don't see one. I don't see anything on the minimap that looks like a place where it would have been hidden anyways. Basically, what Protoss is trying to do is come in here with a big drop, followed up with an attack that can kill the Zerg. But I think the fact that Action's playing so conservatively is a sign of his intelligence here. I mean, he's basically saying, well, as long as I hold this off, I'm in good shape. I'm a 3-base Zerg with a healthier tech pattern than you are. You're basically, as Protoss, kind of stuck making these units now. Now, there's gateways behind this, and this is kind of an unusual form of development for when you have 2 Robos and 2 Stargates. I mean, you don't have a lot of resources to make too much more than this. It looks like he's going to try to slowly squeeze out a 3rd base here.
Yeah,
just like,
as long as he doesn't suicide anything, I think that the 3rd base is very easy for him to take at this point. He's got like 4 Reavers and a bunch of Corsairs and quite a few gates now with that range on the way for Dragoons. So,
ouch.
I think he could have gotten a couple more Scourge into that shuttle.
Yeah, maybe 8 more or something.
But definitely an army that you're not going to bust with Hydras. So, at this point, do you try to get in there and do your damage with your Hydras? Or would it make more sense to tech up a bit more and expand?
Well, I mean, expand where? I mean,
Zerg, I mean.
I'm sorry. I was thinking it was Protoss for a second here. You know, you want to expand very, very modestly. If you overexpand, you're in trouble. But it looks like he's made such an army here. He's decided he might as well try to come in here and just attack this. And one thing about Reavers is it's not always the more you have, the better they are. And this is a moment that's sort of highlighting that. A lot of times their first shots will all connect with the first target they see, since the shot isn't fast enough to kill the unit so that the Reaver behind it can target it. And so a lot of times you can just bum rush them and kill off a lot here. And so he killed off 2 Reavers. That's nice, but I think he should have probably backed off from there. He wants to basically pick fights with these Zealots and Dragoons, win there, and then try to once again regroup and attack in once more.
Didn't seem like a fantastic attack to me, to be honest.
From the Zerg?
Yeah.
Well, I think he kind of overdid it, especially when he hit those other locations. But every time you take out a Reaver, it takes so long for them to be remade. Sometimes over time, if you attack in a few more times, kind of like this, if you have the right amount, of course,
you know,
maybe you can do it. But
I think at this point, Mini could go into Templar Tech if he wanted to.
I think you're right.
He's got still 3 Reavers, and he's got a hell of a lot of Dragoons. There's no 4th base for Action. Like, yeah, Action's macro is kicking ass. He has a ton of units. But how many times are we going to throw away those units running up hills into Reavers?
Well, you know, one thing as well, Artosis, is that this is looking like one of those mass Hydra into Muta plays here.
that we've seen before. Obviously in different circumstances, but it seems like he almost wanted to try to bust this.
Oh!
Down. Whoa!
Oh, the greatest scare of
my
all time! My God!
Yeah, no, I think he overdid it a little bit, Artosis.
You butcher. Woo! Well, yeah, I mean, Action is just kind of attacking, you know?
Well, I will say this much. In Action's defense, Mini played this so weird as far as how he developed. Just like getting a bunch of gates and then not showing Dragoons. And then, like, having Reavers at the third base, but he actually took the third base pretty late. I would be pretty confused if I was Action as well here.
He did take the third slightly late based on what we were seeing. Okay, it looks like maybe a bit of an overextension here with the Reavers, but that's okay. I still think that Mini is in a fantastic spot right here. You know, he's just... I don't know, it's kind of weird because I think that Reaver Corsair is a good strategy overall on the map. You look at just the shape of everything. The Reavers can hold these nice locations for you.
Yeah.
They have the potential to do damage, even though he didn't really get damage done this game. Really, it's been Action bludgeoning himself by attacking so much. Now, Action's not out of it. He's still got 100 supply. Hydras are low supply. That means he has a lot of them right now.
You know, the problem is I don't think an attack's going to kill him with the number of Reavers that are here. And then I think that Zealot Dragoon on 3 base can actually run over Mass Hydra on 3 base, especially if you can push it all with any Reavers. Now, he's going to go for the Mutas. And I guess this is really starting to look exactly like what I was saying before. Like, oh, he's trying to do a build where normally you're coming here and trying to snipe the Templars. In this case, it's going to be him possibly trying to snipe the Reavers and using the Scourge to chase the Corsairs away. Maybe he can make this work. I'm not used to seeing tech patterns like this interact with each other, Artosis, so I'm a little bit lost on this one.
It is a little bit different from the normal flow of things. We don't normally have Corsair Reaver games that develop like a game like we're seeing here, but Action, you know, building this many mutas, it's really key to utilize them correctly. Like, if these Corsairs sit on top of a bunch of Dragoons and get their hits off on the mutas, Action is going to be really regretting what's occurred here. But he's actually moving out right now. This is the type of situation where Scourge, Hydra, Muta might be able to come in and mess with this.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I mean, if he has all of the Reavers picked up... Oh! Takes out a few Corsairs there.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I mean, if he has enough Scourge to then take out the Corsairs and chase the shuttles or kill the shuttles off, the Mutas can snipe the Reavers.
Yeah.
And then Hydra, whatever else the Zerg has, can sometimes run this over. Now, the only thing that Protoss has, we're just now seeing it here, is Templars. I don't know if Storm's done yet. The way speccing in this game goes, we don't really see if that's, you know...
Speccing? Are you a Counter-Strike player? Like, what's
going
on
here? You better believe it, bro.
What's this lingo you bring into me?
Bro, I'm diversifying.
Who's bodying who here, Tasteless?
He's going to try to push out here. Now, hold on. He's taking out some of the Corsairs. The thing is, there's so many Dragoons now that it's like there's more Dragoons than Mutas, so...
Well, that is for sure.
Yeah, so this
Muta's not doing that well so far, and he's
Yeah.
keeping the shuttles away from everything.
I'm so shocked that Action went for this unit comp. I almost think he autopiloted himself into a tech that sort of is just not appropriate for the way this game has drifted.
Ooh, but hold on! He's diving on these shuttles right now.
He's isolated the Reavers. That's step 1. Step 2 is killing the Templars and the Reavers and then everything else. But, you know, Protoss has such a gargantuan army. Can you really stop this? I mean, this is basically a steamroller that is going to flatten anything that's in its path, unless with surgical precision, Action can actually take out both Templars and Reavers. By the way, keep in mind the Reavers are going to use up their 5 to 10 shots they have pretty soon here. And then it's going to be up to whether or not he reloaded.
Well, hopefully he is reloading. It is a slow-moving army, of course, because these Reavers no longer have their shuttle escort. So that means that there's time. Like, look at this. He's cut off reinforcements, Action has. He's going to come in with a massive flank eventually. He's really utilizing the high ground beautifully, making this as painful and as slow for Mini as possible. And the longer he buys himself, the more likely it is he's going to be able to make something happen.
Now this is cool, a counterattack here, because this attack can do more damage more quickly than the attack here from Mini. And if Action can simply back up and try to get into a better position, he can take out this third base and then go back across the map and maybe even take out the army here of Mini.
that, even picking off some of these High Templars as well. That is a huge, huge move. Now, Mini still has a scary army. He's still going to be buying his Scarabs. He's still going to have that massive splash damage and quite a supporting army for the Reavers as well. But there are a lot of hatches, and eventually this army might even turn around and try to help.
Okay, so he's going to get in here. He's going to be able to take out the Spire. It is Mini on 2 bases, and I believe actually Mini is mined out, by the way. In fact, his minerals are exactly at about 327. I think there's 1 patch he's mining from or 2. So he's like not getting much more money, which means Scarabs are going to run out.
That is a big point.
So, I mean,
once those Scarabs run out, like that's the saddest way to lose game. Every Protoss has had that game too.
The optics can be deceiving here because you see 4 Reavers and you immediately think the ground army is going to be obliterated. But again, you can use up those Scarabs pretty quickly. It looks like he's going to come in here and take this out now. It's going to be 2 Reavers remaining. Maybe an overextension there for action. I don't think there was a lot to necessitate that, but I think as long... Oh, wow, okay, he has a little bit more minerals than I realized, guys. Sorry, I couldn't quite see that on the mini-map until we actually got a shot of it there. But again, I don't think the Protoss can carve his way in here, and I think this game is going to be over in a little bit. I think Action can surely pull this together. And from there, even though it's been one of the scrappier games I've cast at ZVP, definitely a very technical victory here from Action.
Yeah. And he trying to micro back with these Dragoons right now, but when Dragoons get alone, it's really hard to keep them alive for quite a while. Like, Hydras counter them very, very well. They have that explosive damage against the large Dragoon, and
they're the icing on the cake for a Protoss army
Yeah.
PvZ. They're kind of the last units you get because the way their damage is distributed, it pairs with everything else. It complements everything else. More Zealots get in the way with each other. There's only so many Templars you want to have. Reavers, there's definitely a number. You don't want to have just like
they're a fantastic
9 Reavers, you know?
late mid-game support unit for the Protoss army.
Yeah. They're good at picking off things that are engaging or retreating here. And from here, what you see is what you get with Protoss. And I mean, maybe he can do something here. I just don't know about it. There is not quite enough to defend the harass here. And this makes me a little bit worried. But again, minerals are drying up here on the map. In fact, is it now that Mini has nothing? I'm looking at his minerals.
He's got
it's right
0.
at 0.
So whatever Scarabs we have here, we have 4 Scarabs. What a wild game right now.
Oh, man. Great play here by Action. This is becoming such a scrappy game here. Scrappiest Brood War game I've casted, I think, this year here. He's going to take out the rest of the probes. And the army's coming back here. The Hydras are just darting out and trying to take out any Templars they can. What you see is so important here. Anything that's taken out might not be remade here, especially with the economy just in shambles here, especially for Mini. But frankly, Action's not looking too hot either. I mean, he's close to broke as well. He'll mine out much later, but also keep in mind he has much less drones. Well, maybe I misspoke that he has drones. They're going to get back home, but they're not there just yet.
Well, you definitely misspoke. It's much fewer, but that's okay. Now, these Hydras, I mean, he's microing what he can. If you look at the supplies, Action actually has more supply. But some of the more powerful units that even cost a lot of supply here for Mini, they're very powerful, but like, for instance, if he can't buy more Scarabs, and especially in these highly microable situations, you'd think the Reaver gets even better, but it's like, no, if Action doesn't have anything to do, you can do things like split your units and then run away, and oh wow, he even got the plus 25 damage, that's cool. But yeah, he's got 1 Scarab right now.
And the funny thing is, it's not like you can tell the Reaver did not fire.
Keep in the shuttle if you want that, or spam S.
Right. So, I mean, you can actually very easily bait that out. And then there's just not much else at all. So probes are going to long distance mine. Keep in mind, 400 minerals is a lot to mine at this distance.
Especially when you want to buy Scarabs at the same time.
Right. And so from here, I think there's no way that Mini can come in here and break Action.
Yeah.
Action developmentally just is in a much more healthy position. And so this game might not end right away, but I would say 95% chance that Action can close this out.
Yeah, Mini just spent the rest of his money on Scarabs. That's why we saw him unload there.
And so it's going to come down to this one attack. Actually, it's smarter for Mini to try to attack in here with Scarabs than it would be to try to long-distance mine and make a Nexus. So this is an intelligent move here. The question is, can he get the Scarab shots off? Great usage of Burrow here.
God,
I don't believe there's an observer over this at all.
No, he lost all his observers previously. Maybe he has one left on the map somewhere, we'll see.
Oh no, there is one.
Did he just lose the shuttle? Yeah.
Mini taps out, GG.
Okay. Well, there we have it. Action with a 3-0 over Mini. That is the one thing I did not expect tonight. I actually
Same.
thought that this one was going to go to 4 to 5 maps, with Mini probably being the victor. But Action showing that he was very well prepared and just played some good strategies with some strong execution against highly aggressive and, I mean, I guess it's unorthodox compared to most Protosses, but Mini kind of plays within his realm, which is slightly different builds where he tries to get the advantage but was unable to tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that the way that Mini played was really exciting. It really shows you how elastic openings can be with Protoss and what you can do with them. But Action clearly is unfazed by that. He had an exact counterplay to each of the styles that Mini brought here. And I think going Corsair Reaver is not a bad idea on that map, but the fact that Action stayed so conservative, and I think ultimately a lot of this came down to the fact that without minerals, you don't have the ability to make scarabs. Action definitely deservedly so, winning that 3-0.
You know, that last game very interesting as well, right? With the Reaver Corsair, but then the switch into Mutas that at first looked like it wasn't doing it, but then actually came out very strongly. I like that game quite a bit. Action in that winner's match now. I mean, that's fantastic. That leaves us with one more match for tonight. 4GG going up against Sulky.
Yeah, we're going to be going to that match in just a little bit here. I can't believe that was that short.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was going to be like 5 games, and it totally was not. And we didn't even have a single standard PvZ there. We're going to go to that commercial now, and we come back the second half of tonight's KSL. Any minute now. We'll be going to that commercial. Wow.
All right.
Anyways, I thought we were going to have a longer PvZ there. I thought we were going to have more of a standard PvZ, especially with Mini being so good. I know he can cheese. All Protosses have to be able to do that. Otherwise, you're just not utilizing some of the assets that their race has. But because he was, because his style was just so hard countered by everything that Action knew about the matchup, I don't know. He lost, and ultimately Mini unable to pull through with a win there.
Excellent rehash of the things we already discussed before that commercial
I don't
break
know.
flop.
I don't know.
My God.
I'm trying.
You know, I thought the series was going to be
trying.
longer.
They told me I could close it.
I thought the wait to the break was going to be shorter.
I know.
Everything I expect is upside down tonight. Maybe 4GG is going to kill Sulky next.
That probably won't happen. But if it does, that would be exciting. Do you think we're going to have any wins here with 4GG versus Sulky Artosis? Because to be honest with you, Sulky, I think still, when he wins, he still looks like the best StarCraft 1 player that there is right now. You know?
Yeah, oftentimes. Yeah, I think we'll get one 4GG win. Eventually, his vultures are going to find a way into the base and kill all the drones, and I think that's going to be either that or an 8-rack, something like that. He's gonna catch Sulky with one of those.
I think now we can close to a commercial when we come back the second half of tonight's KSL.